Okay, I know what it looks like, but here's the good news.
Oh, here we go.
The multiverse didn't collapse.
Oh, cool.
A little touch and go, but it worked out.
Great story. Hey, did you finish the goober?
It's not a goober, it's a gizmo.
You always have to call me out. It's just really frustrating and bums me
Don't
out.
get too excited, Miguel. It's just a prototype.
Not excited.
But you could be the first person to make an autonomous multiverse jump. Or the last.
Okay, so we're just gonna roll the dice on this?
So what do you say, pal? Where do you want to go first?
Let's start at the beginning, one last time. Earth 67.
Whoa. What the?
I'm Spider-Man. I need you to come with me.
Who the heck are you?
I just told you that. Listen. I'm from the future.
How dare you point at me?
You were pointing first.
It's rude to point.
You're being very rude. You're not even believing what I'm
Which
saying.
one
You're saying
pointed
I'm not who I say
first?
I am.
Spider-Man
I'm telling you
pointed
I
first,
am.
obviously.
You're pointing at me right now
I'm
as you
not
say
pointing,
that.
you're
Look
pointing.
at you.
I'm
Look
just
at your
pointing at
finger.
your pointing,
Look at your
which is
finger right
different
now.
than
What is it
normal
doing?
pointing.
You are pointing.
You
at
haven't
me.
seen
You're
pointing
accusing
until I
me
get
of
through with
pointing
you, and then
while
you'll
you're
know.
Hey everyone, it's Charlie. We have the best possible news if you're a big fan of Spider-Man. They just announced that Lord and Miller are doing a giant interconnected TV universe of Sony Spider-Man universe characters. So we'll explain what's going on, what it's going to look like, and what they've said about how everything's going to go down. And we'll talk about some of the big events that they would do from the comics when they actually do cross the characters over. We're doing the giveaway for the Spider-Man Far From Home Blu-ray. All you have to do to enter that is be a subscriber and leave your best Spider-Verse theory on the video. So a lot of you are like, wait a minute, live-action Spider-Verse, what's going on? They joked about doing a live-action Spider-Verse movie while they were promoting Spider-Man Far From Home. Amy Pascal's like, that would be amazing, getting Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in a movie with Tom Holland. Maybe that'll work out someday, but that's just sort of a pie-in-the-sky dream. I don't think that we actually believe that they're going to do anything like that anytime soon. It's just a dream that big Spider-Man fans have.
Am I not supposed to have what I want? What I need?
But this live-action interconnected series of TV shows with Spider-Man characters is real. They're actually working on it right now. Most of you are familiar with Lord and Miller from at least something that they've done. They're mostly known as TV people, but they've been doing a lot of movie stuff in the last couple of years too. They're responsible for all the Lego movies. They were the producers on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. They signed a giant deal with Sony Pictures Television to develop projects for them. That means making movies for them. They're going to continue to make more Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movies. There'll be spin-offs for those, but also developing TV shows for them too. So the actual news release reads like this: TV series based on the Marvel characters that Sony controls, that's Spider-Man characters if you guys didn't know that, is part of the rights that they own with the Spider-Man character. They control over 900 different characters, but those 900 people all come from Spider-Man comics. That's how it works. They have the rights to the people from the Spider-Man comics. This is what the diagram looks like after the Fox deal. So you can see now there used to be a bubble with like the Fox characters over on the side that's now part of this larger blob where Marvel almost controls everything, save for some Hulk characters and Namor that Universal still controls. People are wondering about the Namor movie. Universal only has the rights to release movies with these characters. Marvel has the rights to use them in movies. So like Namor could be the villain in a Black Panther movie, but Marvel could not release a Namor solo movie. The deal that they have with Sony is a little bit different, where Sony has the rights to release and make all those movies by themselves, but they signed the sharing arrangement for the Tom Holland Peter Parker with whatever characters that Marvel wanted to put in those Tom Holland movies. And then all the other Spider-Man characters that they had, they could do whatever they want to with, which is where you get to the Venom movie, the animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movies, and now all these new live-action TV shows that they're developing. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was a great movie, Lord and Miller are great creatives, so I trust whatever it is that they're going to do. But I will talk about my top 5 picks for who is going to get those TV shows, who are the main leads going to be, which big characters. They did not say where all the TV shows are going to air. They said that they're going to announce that pretty soon. But it could be on a streaming network, it could be Netflix, it could be Hulu, it could be Disney+, or it could be some of the major networks too. The way they talked about connecting all these Spider-Man TV shows makes it sound like they are building up to their own version of a Crisis on Infinite Earths Arrowverse style.
A crisis is imminent. Someone is coming. Someone far, far more powerful than myself. I mean to prepare.
So when you're thinking about this live-action Spider-Man TV show universe, think about it the same way you think about the Arrowverse shows crossing over. They all have their own seasons, but then every once in a while they cross over together in a really, really big story. Their quote reads, "We're figuring out a way to develop the shows that are each their own unique experience but are also related. So it's like all the Arrowverse shows try to be a little bit different, but when they cross over, it winds up being a big Avengers type of event. Just like you saw during the animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie, where you have all these versions of Spider-Man or Spider-Woman in the case of Spider-Gwen crossing over and teaming up for a really big event. They said that they're developing a handful of shows. How many does that mean? That means probably 3 to 4 different shows. You ask, how's this going to work? Well, what's probably going to happen is just like the Arrowverse shows, is they're going to start with one, with their strongest character, and make sure that that show is popular. Then once that's successful, do the second show, then the third show, and so on and so forth till they get to the fourth show. They did tease that not all the shows would be live action, so there'll be a couple live action shows crossing over, and 1 or 2 of them would also be animated. It'll make more sense when I talk about some of these characters, because there are a ton of really popular Spider-Verse characters, and not all of them are as viable for live action as others. Some of them are going to wind up being so crazy that it'll be way too expensive to produce, so it'd just make more sense to turn them into animated TV shows. But top 5 picks for what those shows are going to be. Like I said, there are probably only going to be 3 or 4 of them, but top 5 picks are number 5, Cindy Moon Silk, who's a character that was supposed to have a live-action movie Sony was developing. Don't know if that'll actually wind up happening, but I think it's more reasonable to assume that they would put her on one of these TV shows. And she's a big enough character that they could do a show around her, and she would work well with the group of Spider-Verse characters that would team up for whatever big crossover they do. Number 4 is Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, somebody that they haven't done in the Marvel universe yet. I actually think that Marvel might have the rights to her character. There were rumors for a long time that she was going to be a cameo during Spider-Man Far From Home in the live-action movies. So at some point, I think during Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5, you'll see that character pop up. Number 3 is Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099. I would kill for a live-action Spider-Man 2099 series, but I will settle for an animated one, because Spider-Man 2099, the Marvel 2099 universe, is so crazy with the advanced technology. The way the city looks, Nueva York, is very different from modern-day New York City. Early speculation, I would just rather see them do it animated and make it amazing and crazy Rick and Morty style, rather than do a cheap-looking version live-action. Number 2, this should be no surprise, they're probably going to try and do a live-action Spider-Gwen TV series. She's probably the most popular female Spider-Verse character. They've already talked about doing a spin-off movie for Haley Steinfeld's Spider-Gwen from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. She's already all over the place in the animated TV series. If you haven't seen any of those, they're geared towards younger children, so a lot of you may not have seen those before. There's been a lot of Spider-Gwen on TV already, played by Dove Cameron, and people even in fact wondered when she came on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. if she was going to be playing a live-action version of Spider-Gwen.
No!
I see you've met my daughter, Ruby.
CrossFit Tinkerbell's your daughter?
I don't know that they would use her if they do a live-action Spider-Gwen TV series, but I don't think that Haley Steinfeld would do a TV series because she's mostly a film actress. In number 1 pick, of course, a Miles Morales live-action TV show. There's no indication that we're going to get a Miles Morales movie or a live-action version of that character on screen being Ultimate Spider-Man anytime soon in the next 4 or 5 years. That's plenty of time to develop a TV show, get it off the ground. Then if that's successful, you put him in those live-action Spider-Man Sony movies. Now, I don't know if he would cross over into the MCU because you have all the Sony Spider-Man stuff that they're doing on their own. Then you have all the stuff that they're doing in the MCU with Peter Parker and Kevin Feige. So just to be clear, all these live-action Spider-Verse shows are a Sony thing. Kevin Feige doesn't have anything to do with it. So you might even see some Venom spin-offs, some symbiote action going on in live action on these TV shows too eventually. There are way too many really awesome characters that they're never going to have time to get to in any of the Sony movies or any of the MCU movies, so it just makes sense that they would try to use the TV shows to fill that gap. And obviously the big crossover events that they would probably go for is starting with a straight-up Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse crossover, then doing maybe Spider Island, maybe doing Clone Saga, and then eventually probably working their way up to Spider-Geddon. Anything within the Marvel-Sony universe of character stories that they could do from Spider-Man comics. But everybody write your picks for these live-action TV shows in the comments. Which characters do you think are going to get their own live-action TV shows? We'll probably find out what the first of these TV shows is going to be before the end of the year. They'll probably start shooting it next year, meaning they would try to release it sometime towards the end of next year or the beginning of the following year. So it might be a couple years before we see the first of these live-action Spider-Verse TV shows. But I will do more videos about it when we get more information. There's just going to be a lot more really cool Spider-Man stuff happening on TV and in the movies, because we have Spider-Man 3 and all the MCU Spider-Man stuff. We have all the Sony Venom stuff that's going on with those movies and those spin-offs, all the animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movies, and now all these live-action TV shows. So it is a really good time to be a huge Spider-Man fan. There was a really weird issue that was happening with YouTube in the past couple of days. I think it's over, but what'll happen is I'll be doing more Marvel Phase 4 videos this weekend. Leave all your video requests in the comments below, especially if you have big questions about these Spider-Verse TV shows. Everybody click here to learn about the really awesome news for the Venom sequel, and click here for all my Spider-Man Far From Home deleted scenes and alternate post-credit scenes. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.